I came home early from my business trip and found my husband in bed with my younger sister. They'd been having an affair for 3 years right under my nose in my own house. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I closed the door quietly, went to a hotel, and planned the most brutal revenge of my life. What I did next destroyed both of them completely. My name is Catherine. I'm 30 years old. And this is the story of the worst betrayal I've ever experienced, and how I made sure both of them paid for what they did. Let me start from the beginning so you understand the full scope of this nightmare. I met my husband, Tyler, when we were both 20. We were juniors at Boston University, and we met at a party thrown by mutual friends. He was charming, ambitious, studying business, and he made me laugh. We dated for 3 years, got engaged right after graduation, and married when I was 23. Those first few years of marriage were good. We were young, in love, building our careers. I went into marketing and worked my way up quickly at a tech company. Tyler started in sales at a pharmaceutical company. We bought a small house in the suburbs, talked about having kids someday, and I thought we had the perfect life ahead of us. My family loved Tyler. My parents, Frank and Susan, thought he was wonderful. My younger sister, Emma, who was 18 when Tyler and I got married, absolutely adored him. She was always hanging around when he visited, asking him questions, laughing at his jokes. I thought it was sweet that my little sister looked up to my husband like a big brother. I should have seen the signs. But when you trust people completely, you don't look for red flags. Emma was always the baby of the family, spoiled and protected by everyone. I'm 5 years older than her, so growing up I was always the responsible one while she got away with everything. Our parents had her late in life, a surprise pregnancy when my mom was 42, and they treated her like a precious miracle. I didn't resent it. I loved my little sister. When she struggled in college, I helped her with tuition. When she needed a place to stay during a summer internship in Boston 3 years ago, I offered our guest room without hesitation. She stayed with us for 3 months, and I thought it brought us closer together. I was so stupid, so blind. About 2 years ago, things started changing with Tyler. He became distant, distracted. He worked late more often. He started going to the gym obsessively. He'd take phone calls in the other room. He password protected his phone for the first time in our marriage. When I asked if something was wrong, he said he was stressed about work, about hitting his sales targets. He said the economy was tough and he was worried about our financial future. It seemed reasonable, so I believed him. I should mention that my career had taken off during this time. I'd been promoted to senior marketing director, nearly doubled my salary, and was traveling frequently for work. I was the primary breadwinner in our marriage, making about $180,000 a year while Tyler made around $70,000. He never seemed bothered by it, or so I thought. Emma had moved back home with our parents after her internship ended, but she visited us frequently. Too frequently, looking back now. She'd come over for dinner at least once a week, sometimes staying late to watch movies. She and Tyler seemed to have inside jokes I wasn't part of. Sometimes I'd come home and find them on the couch together, and they'd both jump up looking guilty. But they'd have some explanation about watching a show or discussing a book. I trusted them. Why wouldn't I? One was my husband, the other was my baby sister. The truth came out in the most devastating way possible. 3 weeks ago, I was supposed to be in San Francisco for a 4-day marketing conference. I'd left on a Tuesday morning, kissed Tyler goodbye, and headed to the airport. The conference was important, a chance to network and learn about new strategies in digital marketing. But on Wednesday afternoon, I got food poisoning from lunch at the conference hotel. I was so sick I could barely stand. By evening, I knew I couldn't attend the rest of the conference. I called Tyler to tell him I was coming home early, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I tried 3 times. Nothing. I figured he was in a meeting or had his phone off. No big deal. I'd surprise him by coming home. I took a red-eye flight, landed at Logan Airport at 6 in the morning on Thursday, and caught an Uber home. I walked into our house at 7:15 in the morning, exhausted and still feeling sick, just wanting to crawl into bed. The house was quiet. Tyler's car was in the driveway, so I knew he was home. I walked upstairs to our bedroom, opened the door, and my entire world shattered. Tyler was in our bed with Emma. They were both naked, tangled in our sheets, and they were so absorbed in each other they didn't even hear me open the door. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds, watching my husband kiss my sister in the bed we'd shared for 7 years. The room smelled like perfume, Emma's perfume, the same scent I'd helped her pick out last Christmas. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. Then Emma opened her eyes and saw me. She screamed. Tyler jerked around, his face going white. "Catherine," he started. I held up my hand. I couldn't speak. If I spoke, I'd start screaming. And I knew once I started, I'd never stop. I turned around, walked out of the bedroom, down the stairs, and out of the house. I heard Tyler yelling my name behind me, but I kept walking. I got into my car, which was still parked on the street from my Uber drop-off, and I drove. I don't even remember where I drove. I just drove for hours, crying so hard I could barely see the road. Eventually, I ended up at a hotel near the airport, checked in, and locked myself in the room. My phone was ringing constantly. Tyler, Emma, my mother, over and over. I turned it off. I sat in that hotel room for an entire day, and I went through every emotion imaginable. Rage, heartbreak, disbelief, humiliation. But eventually, underneath all of that, a cold clarity emerged. They'd betrayed me in the worst way possible. They'd used my trust, my love, my generosity, and they'd thrown it back in my face. And they needed to pay for it. I turned my phone back on. I had 63 missed calls and over 100 text messages. I ignored all of them except one. I called my best friend from college, Monica, who is a divorce attorney. "Monica, I need your help, and I need you to tell me exactly what I should do to destroy my husband financially." Over the next 3 days, while still hiding out at the hotel, I planned everything. Monica was ruthless and brilliant, and she helped me craft a strategy that would leave Tyler with nothing. First, I gathered evidence. I'd left our house in shock, but now I needed proof. Monica advised me to hire a private investigator. Within 48 hours, he'd confirmed what I suspected. The affair had been going on for 3 years, since Emma's summer internship. They'd been sleeping together in our house whenever I traveled for work, which was at least twice a month. The investigator got photos, timestamps from our home security system that I'd never bothered checking, credit card receipts from hotels they'd visited together using Tyler's card. Everything I needed. Then I made a decision about Emma. I called my parents and asked them to meet me for coffee. Just me and them. They'd been calling nonstop, worried sick, and they agreed immediately. I met them at a Starbucks on Saturday morning. They looked terrified, like they thought I'd had a breakdown. "Catherine, sweetie, where have you been? Tyler said you came home and left without explanation. Emma won't tell us anything. What's going on?" I slid my phone across the table. I'd created a folder with all the evidence. Photos of Tyler and Emma together, hotel receipts, screenshots of text messages the investigator had recovered from Tyler's cloud backup. My mother looked at the screen and went pale. My father's hands started shaking. "How long have you known?" my mother whispered. "I found out 5 days ago when I came home early and walked in on them. Together, in my bed." My father looked like he might be sick. "Emma was having an affair with your husband?" "For 3 years, since she stayed with us during her internship. She was sleeping with my husband in my house while I was traveling for work to earn money that I used to help pay her tuition." My mother started crying. "I don't understand. How could she do this to you?" "I don't know, but I want you both to know something. I'm divorcing Tyler. I'm going to take everything he has. And as for Emma, I never want to see her or speak to her again. If you want a relationship with me going forward, you'll need to choose her or me. My father reached for my hand. Catherine, you're our daughter. Emma is too, but what she did is unforgivable. We're on your side. My mother nodded, still crying. We had no idea. I swear to you, if we'd known, I believe you. But I need you to understand something else. Emma has always been the favorite, the baby, the one who could do no wrong. That ends now. If you make excuses for her, if you try to justify this or ask me to forgive her, we're done. All of us. They both promised. They were horrified by what Emma had done, and for the first time in my life, they weren't making excuses for her. I went back to the house when I knew Tyler would be at work. I packed everything I needed, took copies of all our financial documents, and I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note that said simply, "My lawyer will contact you." Then I moved into a furnished apartment I'd rented for 6 months. Monica filed divorce papers the next day. Tyler tried everything to reach me. Calls, texts, emails, showing up at my office. Security escorted him out. He sent flowers. I threw them away. He sent letters apologizing, begging for another chance, saying it was a mistake and Emma had seduced him. I ignored all of it. Emma tried too. She called from different numbers when I blocked her. She sent messages through mutual friends. She even tried to show up at my apartment, but the building had security and I'd put her on the no-access list. Here's what Tyler didn't know. Massachusetts is an equitable distribution state, which means marital assets are divided fairly, not necessarily equally. And Monica was very good at her job. Our house was in both our names, but I'd paid for 80% of the down payment from my savings before we married. I had documentation proving it. The house was worth about $600,000 now, and we had $200,000 left on the mortgage. Our savings and retirement accounts totaled about $350,000. Most of that was from my income, and Monica helped me prove it with tax returns and pay stubs. Tyler had a car, some personal property, and debt. Credit card debt I knew nothing about. Turns out he'd been spending money on Emma for years. Hotels, gifts, trips he'd claimed were work conferences. Monica filed for a fault-based divorce citing adultery. In Massachusetts, that matters. It meant I had grounds to ask for a larger share of assets based on his misconduct. Tyler's lawyer tried to fight it, but we had too much evidence. The photos, the financial records, the timeline showing the affair started while Emma was our guest in our home. The judge was not sympathetic to Tyler. In the settlement, I got the house with full equity. Tyler had to sign over his half, and I'd buy him out for pennies on the dollar based on his misconduct. I got 70% of our savings and retirement accounts. He got his car and his debt, but I wasn't done. Tyler worked in pharmaceutical sales. His income was decent, but it relied heavily on maintaining relationships with doctors and medical practices. His reputation mattered, so I made sure people knew what he'd done. I didn't post on social media or do anything overtly vindictive. I didn't have to. I simply told the truth to a few key people. My mother told her friends at the country club, many of whom had husbands who were doctors Tyler sold to. Monica mentioned it to colleagues in her legal circles. Word spread. Within a month, Tyler started losing clients. Doctors didn't want to work with someone known for cheating on his wife with her younger sister. It reflected poorly on his character, his trustworthiness. His sales numbers dropped. His boss called him in for a performance review. 3 months after I filed for divorce, Tyler was fired for failing to meet his targets. He couldn't find another job in pharmaceutical sales. His reputation preceded him everywhere he interviewed. Last I heard from Monica, he'd moved to North Carolina to start over in a different industry, making half what he used to make. As for Emma, her destruction was different but equally satisfying. Emma worked in social media marketing for a small firm in Boston. Her career depended on her personal brand, her image, her online presence. She had about 15,000 Instagram followers and positioned herself as a lifestyle influencer on the side. I didn't touch her social media directly. I didn't need to. My mother, to her credit, kept her word. She and my father confronted Emma about the affair. Emma tried to deny it at first, then tried to blame me, saying I was never home and Tyler was lonely. She actually said that it was somehow my fault for having a successful career. My parents didn't accept that. They cut her off financially. No more help with rent, no more car insurance payments, no more family credit card. Emma was 25 years old and had been relying on our parents for everything. Without their support, she couldn't afford her apartment. She had to move back home, which she hated. But the real damage came from our extended family and social circle. Once the truth came out, people chose sides, and almost everyone chose mine. Our aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, they all knew what Emma had done. They knew she'd slept with her sister's husband for 3 years. They knew she'd betrayed me while I was helping pay her bills. Emma's Instagram comments became brutal. People she thought were friends left cutting remarks. How could you do that to your sister? You're disgusting. Homewrecker. She tried to delete the comments, but they kept coming. Eventually, she made her account private, then deleted it entirely. Her carefully curated influencer image was destroyed. She lost friends. People stopped inviting her places. Her reputation in Boston was ruined. She tried to apologize to me. She sent a long email about 6 months after I discovered the affair. She said she was sorry, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that she loved Tyler and thought he loved her, that she'd never meant to hurt me. I read it once and deleted it. I didn't respond. Because here's what I realized. Emma wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She was sorry she'd been caught. She was sorry her life had fallen apart. But she'd made a choice, over and over again for 3 years, to betray me. And I owed her nothing. The divorce was finalized 8 months after I'd filed. I got almost everything. Tyler got the scraps. I sold our house because I couldn't live there anymore, not after what I'd seen. I made a significant profit and bought a beautiful condo downtown, closer to my office. My career continued to thrive. I got another promotion 6 months ago, and I'm now the VP of marketing at my company, making over $200,000 a year. I started therapy to process the betrayal and the trauma. It helped. I learned that what Tyler and Emma did said everything about their character and nothing about my worth. I started dating again recently. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to finding love again someday. With someone who actually deserves my trust. Tyler and Emma are no longer together. According to my mother, who occasionally still hears things through the grapevine, they tried to make a relationship work after everything fell apart. They moved to North Carolina together, thinking they could start fresh. But a relationship built on betrayal and deception doesn't last. Without the thrill of sneaking around, without me as the common enemy to bond them together, they had nothing. They broke up after about a year. Emma moved back to Massachusetts, but not to Boston. She lives somewhere on the Cape now, working a job she hates, largely estranged from our family. Tyler is still in North Carolina as far as I know. I don't care enough to find out more. My parents and I have rebuilt our relationship. They've been supportive and loving, and they've never once asked me to forgive Emma or give her another chance. They know that bridge is burned forever. Do I have moments where I still feel the pain of what they did? Of course. You don't just get over a betrayal like that. But those moments are fewer and farther between now. Mostly, I feel free. Free of a husband who never truly loved me. Free of a sister who saw me as competition rather than family. Free to build a life surrounded by people who actually value me. The moral of this story is simple. When someone betrays you, especially someone you love, you have 2 choices. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it fuel you. I chose to let it fuel me. I took every ounce of pain and rage and heartbreak, and I channeled it into rebuilding my life into something better than before. Tyler and Emma thought they could have their affair and get away with it. They thought I'd never find out, or that if I did, I'd be too heartbroken to fight back. They were wrong. I fought back with everything I had. I used the law, I used the truth, and I used the consequences of their own actions to destroy them both. Do I feel guilty about it? Not even a little bit. They made their choices. I just made sure they paid for those choices. To anyone out there who's been betrayed by someone you love, whether it's a spouse or a family member or both, I want you to know something. You are stronger than you think. You will survive this. And you can come out the other side not just intact, but better than before. Don't let them see you broken. Don't give them the satisfaction. Stand up, get angry, get smart, and get even. Not through violence or illegal means, but through exposing the truth, protecting yourself legally and financially, and walking away with your head held high while they live with the consequences of their choices. Tyler lost his career, his home, his savings, and his reputation. Emma lost her family, her friends, her social standing, and the future she'd imagined for herself. I lost a husband who wasn't worth keeping, and a sister who was never truly on my side. And I gained my self-respect, my independence, and the knowledge that I am nobody's fool. That's a trade I'd make every single time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. And remember, the best revenge is living well while they live with what they've done.